Hello, I'm Dr. Bob Gill. I'm a GP and I've been an NHS doctor for 23 years. In May 2013, I was elected to the National Health Action Party Executive Committee. I was part of the first election battle team, and in 2015 I stood as a candidate in the general election for the NHA. I've been actively campaigning against the privatisation of the NHS, which has involved local campaigning, public speaking, media interviews, and in 2014 I produced the film Sell Off. I'm speaking to you because of recent difficulties in NHA's Executive Committee, and I will explain the background to what has gone on. Since the junior doctors' contract dispute began, I have been actively involved in networking with junior doctors across the country, on social media, through rallies and other meetings, to try and inform them about the privatisation and the context of their contract, of which I have been highly critical. This contract will cause junior doctors to be working in unsafe conditions, and this will have serious impact on patient care. With this new contract, doctors will be overstretched and tired doctors make mistakes, and these mistakes will cost patient lives. Most worryingly of all, 54,000 doctors will be denied whistleblowing protection as a result of this contract, as highlighted by the Dr. Chris Day case, which demonstrated that Health Education England, a quango appointed by government, is not subject to employment law. Along with a few other doctors, we concentrated on these issues and how the contract would assist the corporate takeover of the NHS and its staff. As services decline, as the NHS is made to fail by deliberate defunding and shortages of staff, the very group of doctors most likely to speak up are effectively gagged by the lack of whistleblowing protection. After the rejection of this dangerous contract for the second time, it is now being imposed. On the 10th of July, at an NHA executive meeting, I was confronted by Dr. Clive Bedell, who demanded my immediate resignation. He was unhappy with some of my social media posts. He claimed to have been contacted by individuals whom, later it transpired, were all supporting the contract. This all happened shortly after I shared a link to a Times article which featured a powerful couple. One is the Director of Strategy at the BMA, the other works at NHS England and was headhunted by Simon Stevens, the CEO of NHS England, to turbocharge his 5-year forward view. The 5-year forward view is the template for the conversion to the American-style private health insurance system. Without any investigation, due process, or consideration of potential conflicts of interest of the complainants, Dr. Clive Bedell insisted that the executive should expel me or he would submit his resignation. Thankfully, the executive did not grant his wishes, and later on that day he resigned very publicly on social media. The NHA had no disciplinary process in place, so the executive decided to defer the issue until a process had been developed and put in place. Shortly after this meeting, as the NHA were now without a leader, Dr. Paul Hobday stepped into the role, and this was agreed by the whole executive. On the 7th of August, at the next executive meeting, a disciplinary process was adopted, with only one possible sanction: expulsion. It was applied retrospectively and again proceeded without any investigation into the complaints or consideration of potential conflicts of interest of the complainants. The executive voted by a majority to expel me. I appealed this decision, and an appeal was held on the 22nd of October 2016. The unanimous decision of the 5-member panel was to overturn the decision of the executive and reinstate me to the executive with immediate effect. Some of the executive refused to accept the decision of the panel and went on to undermine Dr. Hobday and arrangements for the planned AGM. Administrative support was withdrawn and responsibility left to Dr. Hobday. He then developed a minor ailment, which was seized upon by a few individuals who then sought to cancel the AGM at the last minute without any constitutional justification, agreement of the leader or the full executive. The AGM went ahead as planned in line with the Constitution. The election of the new executive to fill the 7 vacancies was completed. In spite of this, the control of the party's assets had still not been handed over by the relevant former executive members to the new executive. We now hear of a second so-called AGM, which is being organised by this clique, presumably because the outcome of the valid democratic AGM held on the 5th of November did not give the outcome which they wanted. At the AGM of the 5th of November, I, along with Dr. Hobday, were elected as co-leaders of NHA. Regrettably, the actions of a few individuals have left me with no alternative other than to explain to members the recent events that have unfolded. After all, you are paying for the NHA and you have every right to be told what is going on. I hope we have started a dialogue with members which will help us get out of this current crisis. Please use the email address on screen now to get in touch with us. This is part of an ongoing dialogue with our members about the current crisis in the party. We want to hear comment and suggestions from you about how we proceed. Thank you.